We are back in the Living Around Athens podcast, and we have Ryan Liebowitz, who grew a beard.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since I got
so long.
Back here. It has.
You had many tough nights, and you
Yeah.
could not shave.
That's right. I mean,
You were closing so many loans.
that 7-year-old twins keeping me super busy. I mean, it is crazy.
I didn't know they were twins.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be graduating second grade this year.
All right.
That's a big deal.
They do graduations every year
I
now?
don't know. I have not, but probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Rob Hayes got a haircut.
I got a haircut. I can't grow a beard quite yet. Been waiting for that package to drop.
He is
for
also
about,
only 12.
that was last year.
Now he's 13.
Exactly.
Now he's 13. So, yeah, if you didn't remember, or if you didn't see the other episode, Ryan Liebowitz is with Prime Lending, and he is a loan officer.
That's right. That's right. And it is a fun time to be a loan officer.
How so?
That sounds facetious.
How so?
It really is. I mean, it is a lot. I like putting things together, right?
Right.
Puzzles, Lego. I like doing that kind of stuff. And now that is what lending has become in a major way. It's figuring out which options make the most sense for the individuals, educating people about the options that are out there.
Right.
And then also having to kind of figure out what is the market doing. Right. I mean,
It's having fun. Market's having fun with us.
The last week hasn't been that fun. But there's just such huge shifts on a weekly basis that we're seeing rate-wise in the market. I think supply and demand, that is the issue.
Oh, yeah.
now. I mean, from a
I got a
real estate
text
standpoint.
from a loan officer I don't know. Shout out to, I don't know, who has my number. That gave me some good info.
Congratulations.
And he said something happened yesterday that was confusing.
Yesterday.
Or maybe it was in the past couple days.
Past couple of days.
Did something big happen in the market that I should have been aware of? I've been putting out fires on my deals.
I mean, there's been movement. It's like the manufacturing numbers came in better today. So MBS was down today, which means rates are up. I'm trying to think of what happened on Tuesday.
So I did also see people reacting to something Biden was about to do to help lower income people be able to qualify.
Yeah, it'll be like the kind of loan level pricing adjusters are changing. So let's say that you've got a lower credit score. You're not having to pay the high, we'll call them risk pricing, right? Everything's based on risk pricing. If you have a low credit score, if you're putting less money down, let's say you're a higher risk just in general, right? I mean, and that's across the board. That's with any type of lending.
And a huge majority of lenders don't even want to give you a loan or, like approve you for a loan when you're less than 600, right? Even 620 sometimes.
Well, 620 is conventional. 580 is FHA. I mean, there's rules around what we can and cannot do.
Right.
Right. I think all lenders want to lend as much money as we possibly can. That's
For sure.
We
Give
make
everybody
money
a loan.
income. That's right. That's right.
Just in case the crash doesn't happen.
Still,
Let me ask
still
you
waiting
this.
on that one.
You say crash. What is crash?
Oh, I
Because
meant
think-
like, remembering back to like, we love talking about the old days where people would have gotten approved the ninja loans or not even ninja, like just potentially dirty loan officers.
That's right.
Who wanted to close another deal. And this guy has enough pay stubs to prove it, but maybe his credit score is horrible. And they're like, you know what? We're going to finagle whatever. And thousands of things happen like this over and over. People who shouldn't have bought a house, their debt to credit ratios were right on the margin or past the margin. And so if they missed 1 week of work and didn't get a paycheck, now they're way behind. And so I don't think we're in that scenario. So I don't think unless something happens unless something happens a lot separate from real estate. Like I don't think there's going to be a real estate crash because of anything real estate at all related. It'll be like a ton of people in middle class start losing their job.
I mean, that would do it.
And it hasn't started yet. But of course, there's so many predictors who are people predicting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but I think there's a big difference, right? When we think about 2000 to 2008, right? What happened there is there were no rules. It was like a Wild West.
Right.
What do we want to lend on?
You didn't actually, you could be a loan officer, like I was, under someone else who was actually licensed. I could call myself, that was what happened. I was a senior loan officer. I did some sort of testing, but it wasn't the actual, I didn't do a mortgage license test.
Yep.
But I knew enough to do the same job you're doing now. Eventually I did it in 2010, but in 2002 and 2003, I did loans, but I didn't have to be a licensed officer, which means shenanigans could happen.
Well, yeah, and the market was open for that. I mean, when you think about the regulations, when you had, verbal income, right, we were able to talk to appraisers, and that is a bad idea, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're lending. I mean, I remember in 2000, I was with Wells. We would be able to look at lines of credit at like 125% of tax value. No appraisal need 125% of tax value. I mean, if you think about that, how many people were underwater in 2007, 2008? Ton, right? So you miss a payment and you're underwater, you've got no options.
Right.
We cannot sell, right? Because we've got to pay that. Versus now, the biggest difference is there's a lot of cash.
Right.
I mean, over the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of people have grown a lot of wealth over that time. You had increases in values of 40 to 50% of your house. So like if you had an issue and you had to sell, well, somebody's going to buy your property. You're going to make some money, right? And you can go do what, if you have to downsize or whatever. So I think that is the biggest difference when thinking about 2008 versus today.
Right.
In that regard, would you say that one of the biggest issues probably that one of the biggest reasons our market is the way we have it now is like partly due to inventory or lack thereof? Because, I mean, so long as there's like a need, like people are going to continue buying. It doesn't really matter what the rates are. So long as it keeps afloat, I think.
Yeah, and you look at, yes. So supply and demand is the biggest problem.
There's the demand there's so much demand of the people who actually need to buy.
Sure.
And then there's the demand of all the people who want to sell and then buy.
Yep.
Something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's say rates go down. This problem doesn't become better, right? Everybody's like, oh, we're going to wait till the rates come down and we're going to buy. Oh, perfect. Makes sense from a fundamental standpoint. Well, now we're doubling the amount of buyers in the market, but the inventory will not catch up that quickly.
Right.
Just
You know what I'm
the
saying?
trouble with the whole theory of people waiting for, again, waiting for a really big crash to happen. Like, what makes you think you're going to be the only person in that market all of a sudden trying to, the issue there seems to be inventory. I've heard it said that, I don't know how correct this number is, but about 40 to like maybe about 60% of like all home loans. Maybe it's close around to that 40, but a lot of people have refinanced in the last couple of years when the rates were still like in the 2s and the 3s. So to kind of get out of that loan to something that's much higher, it's a little bit harder to justify. Do you know anything regarding like that statistic? If there's any truth behind that, it's just something
100%.
I've heard.
100%. Like if you don't have to move and you're going to move down the street, right? I mean, how many times are you moving? Let's say, Coney County, you're going to upgrade, right? Maybe you have to upgrade. Maybe you just want to upgrade. You've had some good years business-wise. Are you going to sell your house at 2.5% and buy 6.5%? Not unless you have. I mean, unless you just. I mean, it is going to be more expensive, right? Because
there's got to be a strong motivator to jump from that rate to a much higher rate.
Right. Now, if the prices were the same, maybe, but you're also paying, 50% more in the value of the property. So,
So it's a gridlock.
Fundamentally,
It's just
It's a gridlock.
Sure.
yeah. So far, I've only told one person in person, like, you probably shouldn't buy right now. It's because it doesn't make sense for a bunch of people that just want to, and then they're taking houses from the other people that need to, and they're keeping the prices up high. I'm all happy for high prices because I'm hoping to sell maybe in a year. So I want my house to be worth a lot.
And I think the other thing, which is very smart, you've got a lot more investors in the market, right? I mean, when rents are what they are now, as an investor, well, these things make sense. Like if I have cash that I've made over the last 5 to 10 years within real estate, this is the time to buy. Right. Because I know that more people are going to rent. Yeah. We've got millennials that are just barely over that 50% kind of home ownership rates. You've got millions of optional renters.
I mean, there's people in Gen Z now old enough to buy houses, aren't there? I think.
So
about
maybe
96.
I mean, about yeah. I mean,
96 is the cutoff.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd probably be a better question for the Zoomer generation after Gen Z, because those folks now. I mean, there's kids that are just now turning like 21. They've been working for a few years, stacking their cash, living with mom and dad, and they might be able to get something.
We're gonna have a fun mess for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it is different. I mean, we've got to adjust, right?
I think conversation with a lot of people, agents and whatever, they're always focused on whatever is immediate. But what I see for sure, and I have been seeing it, is the divide between the middle class and the lower class is getting bigger and bigger because it's becoming so much more unaffordable to get into a house, which then helps you build wealth. And, that's very tough, which is why this new thing with
there was a study recently done, and it was comparing the general wage gap and wealth gap between the United States, like top 1%, and the bourgeoisie of French right before the French Revolution. And it's actually worse than what it was when, Marie Antoinette got overthrown with her husband.
Really? It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I feel for the average American, or really, I should say, like the average uneducated American,
the lower educated,
and including myself, because I only got a high school degree. I just kind of do whatever though to make it work. I mean, like I don't know. It's
but
a tough
you don't
time.
just do one thing to make money.
Sure.
Like even at this job of real estate, you're not doing one thing to make money.
It's a couple of different income streams. But like I don't know. I mean, for the average American who's like working at their local grocery store, and maybe they got a $2 raise over the course of their 10, 15 year tenure there.
Right.
Not very helpful.
And then, we have inflation that's like nuts through the roof.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's like I think that's probably one of the biggest things that holds everybody back.
Well, I mean, for me, and I've had this conversation with a lot of folks lately, I think we don't talk about it with young people enough either. Like how many 18-year-olds understand how to use money, how real estate works, what's going to happen when they get a job. Here's what it could be to be an entrepreneur. Here's the tax benefit. Like, I don't remember ever talking about that stuff until I was out of college. Right, so if I'm 22 or 23, that's what I should be.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I understand what's going on. This is my least responsibility that I'm probably going to ever have in my life. Now is the time to make the
experiment.
The experiment. That's a good word.
Experiment in a good
way, right?
Yeah.
How do we educate our middle schoolers and our high schoolers about these things so that the next time something happens, whether it's 20 years down the road, they're kind of seeing the signs.
You can come
I was
going to
say, man, this is just becoming a whole conversation for us socialites, because that's just a big education issue in America.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm 27, but whenever I was 16, 17, 18, 15, 14, no adult that was outside of like my household ever mentioned a word about money or banking or real estate or how to manage, or how to do, how to even work a freaking checkbook. Yeah. I just like figured out what I know by like looking stuff up. Yeah, man. Like nobody talks about that to the youth
and
of
you guys both have the benefit of being able to actually just type it on a computer to get your answer.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I would have had to have read a book.
What? And then you can't judge it by its cover. You
can't judge a book by its cover.
You can't.
Beyond that, you have to go find the book first, and then you have to read it.
Right. Well, that was back in the days when you could go to
Back
a
in the Stone
library.
Age.
You could go to the library and use the internet. It was wonderful.
Dang.
But think about this, right? think about with all the rates doing what they do, you come out of school in college, you run up $20,000 in credit card debt. Well, $20,000 in credit card debt at what is a credit card rate now? 28%.
It's like the cheap.
least
It's like
24,
18%.
18%, right? So I think that's going to be a major issue very, very soon with people. People start losing their job. They may be able to afford their mortgage, but they may not be able to afford the amount of credit card debt or other variable debt that they have. And then what do you do?
I'd never.
Becomes a death spiral, basically.
It really, yeah.
It
It
becomes
becomes really
really
difficult.
speedy. It goes faster and faster.
me ask you
Yeah, on bankruptcy. You guys ever hear? I don't.
What'd you say?
I've definitely talked to people who went through the bankruptcy process
Oh.
in the 2008 through 12 time period.
Yeah.
But it seems like more people would have. I think there's definitely this lazy American thing that happened that helped contribute to 2009.
Oh, well, I mean, I think
Some people just don't even take the opportunity to do the bankruptcy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say, I think a bankruptcy is this is just my opinion, but I don't know. My mom, she did a bankruptcy whenever she was her early 30s, I'd say, and I think it helped her tremendously.
That helps everybody.
But at least because she didn't have any student loan debt. I know that's one of the big issues that a lot of people in my generation will end up facing is that even if you were to do a bankruptcy, it's not going to erase your student loan debt.
No.
The
They're with you
government's
till
going
the day
to
you die.
get their money. They'll let that follow you till you die, and that is that is a
To the
fact.
very end.
So
Or you wait as long as me and pay the absolute minimum. And then Biden's going to wipe it out for you. Bam.
yeah, right. I'm hoping, I'm praying.
Right after the crash.
Yeah.
But in essence of what you're saying, though, I do think that we have a big moral issue of Americans who just live above their means in general.
Right.
I mean, in regards to credit card debt, I mean, I think there's a lot of Americans who live above their means. I haven't ever had a credit card. I don't really intend to have a credit card because,
It's impressive.
if I can't,
You need to have a YouTube channel.
'Cause
I
if
ain't never going to have a credit card.
yeah, right. But I mean,
You
it's
get a sponsorship from good old Dave Ramsey.
I mean, you know, I don't know, my personal opinion, just because I've seen what credit cards can do to people who don't manage their spending, is if I only got $200 and I got to make it last, a week and a half, well, by golly, I'll do it. If that means I'm just eating hot dogs and
I think that's also because of how you were raised too.
yeah, I was raised to
I was raised
be a
like
little
that,
thrifty
but
boy.
then in college, these people would have free T-shirts and be like, "Hey, you want a credit card? I'll give you a T-shirt." And I'll be like,
well,
I need
hell,
both.
I've always wanted a T-shirt,
both.
I could use more T-shirts.
Yeah.
Same for me.
but
"Oh, it's your daughter. Knock on the door." That's not you. She
No,
said
it is.
No, I just,
Better be. She's like, that's not my dad. What happened?
Who's that guy with the beard?
I mean, but going back to your point, I think credit cards are very beneficial though, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you were disciplined enough, and I think maybe that's where it comes out. Are we disciplined in so many areas of life?
Oh,
Not
no.
just this. Are we disciplined enough to get in here as a realtor? You have to call people, right? As a lender, I got to call people. If I don't call people, and I'm not disciplined in my processes, just like every successful person is in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna fall off.
I'm calling people.
there's huge discipline issues in America,
Yeah.
or at least self-discipline and folks' ability to actualize their own goals.
Well,
And and I feel like everybody probably struggles with it to a degree. I mean, even the best people. I mean, but I don't know. Rob said something to me one time, and he was like, if he was like, what did you say? It was
I don't
if
know.
you aren't
Tell
making,
me what I said, and I'll.
it was along the lines of if you don't ever do it, it ain't getting done. I don't know. It was very
Something like that.
Yeah, it was along those
Sounds
lines, and I was
clever.
like,
Fair.
wow, that's such a what a great anecdote.
True.
But
If you don't
But
do
to
it
be
yourself,
to be fair,
how's
I
it gonna
don't
get
think
done?
discipline's really culturally a thing that we have valued for a long time, and it's starting to show that was probably not a very good idea.
And I think we have to take responsibility, right? I know me and you, we are in that age of life in 40s and 50s. Like, we can redefine what the next generation looks like. We're doing it with our kids. So
Sure.
I think we're past the point of being like, well, it hasn't been done. Well, we need to do it. We need to change it. We need to show what discipline looks like, what can happen, if you are disciplined in these different areas, because not being disciplined is not going to be beneficial long term. I mean, maybe there's been somebody that has, but it's not.
Yeah.
It
Regardless of which generation it is, it's long time for people to stop saying, well, it's the fault of the generation before us who did all this. Yeah, maybe they did some dumb stuff. Maybe they did some wrong stuff. But the question is, when are you going to actually take the mantle up and take the responsibility to make things better?
I will say,
I agree with you.
I will say I'm pretty liberal. Like, I love being democratic.
You like punk music still?
Yeah, I'm about as democratic as they come, I'd say. I mean, like, not like the most.
Not really.
Okay, I agree. But, like,
one step away from a libertarian.
There's a lot of money to be made out there, and I know a lot of people like to think like, oh, well, the economy for America sucks, and like being a middle to lower.
Who says that?
I mean, the average American would. I get anybody who's like working.
The average American from the U.S. probably would say that.
Yeah, it's like, if like you're talking to anybody that's like basically like, essentially making like $15 an hour and under.
Right.
I'm sure that they would all agree.
Undereducated, underskilled.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So yes, they think.
But I mean,
things are tough.
There's so many free resources now in the world. I mean, with the internet alone, you have quite arguably the greatest access for information to ever be achieved. Right. Mm-hmm. Anybody can do it for the most part. I don't know, but there's free. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that you can make money though, just by like putting a little bit of elbow grease into something. I mean, hell, you could buy a pressure washer for maybe like $100, maybe even cheaper.
Or you could just call Butler's Pressure Washing. We will come do.
Yes.
Thank you though so much for that.
Yeah,
so if you've got pressure washing needs, commercial, residential, construction, call us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, like, there's
Butler's.
so many ways like people can just ragtag some money together, odd job some money together. I mean, especially if you're just interested in something. Everybody's an expert on something that they're interested in, and
fair.
They could advise others on it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
How do you think
content
social
creation.
media has impacted, talking about your generation, right? Like, do you think social media has prevented those people that do have the skill you were just talking about? They are probably professionals in this certain area. Has it prevented them from getting up and being like, well, I can't be an influencer in this. Now I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense at all, what I'm asking?
No, I mean, like, I guess so. If I were to, like, answer it, I think, like, a lot of folks nowadays, especially in, like, mine and Rob's general age group and even younger, frankly, like, with the mass marketing media that they do over at, like, TikTok alone, and now that they're trying to implement on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook even, it is now easier than ever to find somebody who has the same niche interest as you. Mm-hmm. And if you have a product or service that you could give to that niche community, you could probably, I mean, let's say that you meet 10,000 people online that are all interested in the same thing as you.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure, right? Let's say maybe you make a custom Dungeons and Dragons table because you love Dungeons and Dragons. It's your favorite game. I mean, if that's 10,000 people.
A picture of your table?
I wish.
Here's like pull up. Check it out, guys.
If you were to even capitalize on quite literally just 1% of 10,000 folks, you're gonna make a good chunk of money.
Yeah, sell them something that is $200 each.
Yeah,
there you go.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways, and all you have to do is
put it out there.
Yeah, just put out what you care about, and if you care about,
granted, it takes time, it takes effort, but the opportunity's there.
I think that's the thing. I think it's time. I think everybody wants right now. Like, if I can't see it in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
it's not worth me putting in the effort.
Oh yeah, I mean, like since the 90s, like we've been a country of like instant gratification.
Yep.
I mean, especially nowadays. I mean, like, everything's on your phone. If you want food, you DoorDash it.
Right.
If you want some random groceries, you can, what is that thing? Instacart it now.
Instacart,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? You can have anything you want on demand so long as you have the funds. And I think a lot of people expect the same thing for whatever they're
Back
passionate
in
about.
the day, like 3 to 4 day shipping was like, wow, that's
Whoa.
like super fast.
Yeah.
I'll pay extra $15 to get it in 4 days instead of what the standard 8-10 business days ever was.
Yeah.
But
Therein lies the opportunity, because a lot of people will not take action. There's your opportunity right there. Because if you have the willingness to be patient, to see the process through, there's your opportunity.
Yeah.
It only takes one time. I mean, I think that's kind of the lesson I learned in going from 250 pounds to 180 pounds was like, that seems like a lot, right? Changing your whole life, but like once you do that one thing, so whether it's business, fitness, relationship, like once you get past that barrier that you've probably put in place, your parents put it in place, your family's just had it in place and we can never get through, everything after that becomes attainable. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It just means like I have seen what a long period of work can do, gradually building. Well, now I know everything's going to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do we show everybody that is a better way? It may not be the best way for the next 6 months.
It's
4 years
I got to
later.
say, honestly, it's shocking that more people aren't just aware of that already, just for the sheer fact that if like you go, and we've talked about this, I mean at least me, Rob, and Ethan have, but I mean on anything that is social media nowadays, one of the quickest and easiest ways that you can get popular is by creating awesome organic content, and organic being like the main word there.
Right.
Like and that includes like maybe you have some random B-roll that you recorded, maybe your project didn't go as well. I mean, nobody's perfect. You just kind of gotta at least put it out there, even if it's really not good.
Right.
I've seen some. I was doing videos of some of my early house flips. Yeah.
And when I say early, like I'm talking like only 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there was more so much more before that I didn't ever show, and there would be people that I had never would even talk to, that would like. I might see them downtown Athens. I saw some at a high school reunion, and they were like, "Hey, man, you flipping a house right now?" And I'm like, "What? You don't even ever comment. I didn't even know you saw my stuff."
Yeah, I mean,
and so
that's
you
the
can't
thing.
like
You don't know the level of impact. Whether
Right.
they may even just see like the first few seconds of the video and they scroll on to the next thing, but they still remember you.
yeah,
Right.
And they see you time and time again. They may not comment, they may not like, they may not do this, but you're seen, and they see you, and that sticks with people.
I like how this went from Ryan Liebowitz mortgage to
Ryan
problems
Liebowitz.
in the economy, and now we're doing a social media class.
yeah. I mean, we're.
Just doing it all today.
I mean,
great.
I'd love for everybody to be happy and be able to do things they love to do. I really wish that for everybody. 'Cause,
That's
like,
what Gary Vee always talks about.
there's not enough folks that are living their best life per se, and
Right.
sometimes somebody's best life is just being able to open up. I wish more people had the avenue to open up and like share themselves with the people around them and the world around them, but they don't.
I love this conversation.
But
Think about dads.
sure.
Dads, right?
Yep.
How often, if you have an issue, who are you going to go talk to?
I mean, yeah, you're gonna talk to like your main like parental figures, or at
You
least,
may not
like,
talk to anybody.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Like,
Some
is it-
people
hopefully you
never
should.
would-
Yeah, that is
yeah.
true.
As
Yes.
a male, sometimes it's like, well, I can't say that I'm struggling with this. Like I'm trying to get my son to do this or my daughter to do this. Who do we talk to? Like we have this weird thing to where we won't even open up to our best friends because we're afraid of what they're thinking, knowing good and well they've gone through it, right? Like why is that
I think
so
this
bad?
is a
Who do you
public
call?
school thing. I don't, or does that happen to you too?
I don't know. What's the question?
Like
you
what-
just want,
Yeah,
as
like
far
what
as
he's talking
opening
about.
up
Like,
to people.
yeah, like if you had something you were struggling with, do you feel like if you went to one of your friends who also is in the homeschool world,
yeah.
that they're going to immediately laugh at you and bully you? because that is the thought, even with your close friends.
So a little bit of a
from
toss
public
up.
School.
I think it's the same everywhere to one degree or another.
But as you get older, like, it's different.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I want people to – I want to be able to open up to people, and I want to be able to talk to dads out there that we all struggle, right?
Well, because we also realize when you open up and talk to somebody, it doesn't get worse. But as a kid, you're like, oh, if I tell somebody about this, it's just going to be worse.
They're going to make fun of me, and I'm not going to want to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things.
I mean, I would say on the flip side that even though maybe there's a difficulty in that, with the appropriate people, it could be very helpful. With people that not so, at least now you found out what their character is, and maybe shy away a little more.
I will say, my girlfriend, she's pretty antisocial. Really, just because
introverted.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. She is introverted. She has a little bit of social anxiety, just really in the fact that like other folks might judge her, or maybe they'll like judge her appearance, or maybe she'll say something silly and they'll think she is like stupid. And I always tell Alex, like, man, honestly, if somebody wants to like say something to you about how you are or how you act or what you do, like,
so not only is she introvert, she has social anxiety.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always told her, like, feel free to tell me. I'll tell them to shoo. And, on top of that, if somebody wants to be like that with you, then they just ain't it. I mean, it's just I've always said that. Like, I don't know. I've had to tell plenty of people in my life to, like, screw off because, like, they're just a low-quality, like, person. I know, like,
And you're young. You did that early.
Yeah.
I did the opposite, and I was like, let me bring those people into my life.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, not to say, like...
Come on in, take a seat.
Like, humans are all, like, we're all the same. Like, we're all the same humans, right? Per se. But I don't think that...
True.
I don't think that people are made with the same equivalence. Socially.
No.
I mean, like, when it comes, like, socially, there's a huge difference between how some folks will live their lives and how others will. And if they're going to be a kind and caring person, or they're going to be a big old meanie head. And, like, in any of the big old meanie heads in life, like, I don't know, I've done the same thing with them now for at least, like, the past, like, 13, 14 years. I just, I'm like, oh.
You're probably right.
Well, you probably got your own problems that you just ain't worked through.
Anybody love Ted Lasso in here?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Who's he?
Ted Lasso.
Well, I'd recognize him.
Yes.
Okay.
He's very recognizable.
So this is what you're going to have to try to figure out how to. There's the clips. I'm sure the clip is already online. There is a clip that is in one of the most recent episodes of how to deal with bullies.
The darts. Is that the one where they're in the
pub or
sports bar with the darts? But
there's an episode where like the son has to deal with bullies, and so immediately the dad sees the message. He's in the office with his other football coaches.
Just had me crying.
And there's
football meaning soccer.
Football meaning soccer, right?
Well, let's just clarify this right now.
And so one of the best characters on there is like, I'll tell you how to deal with bullies. And it is quite literally one of the greatest monologues on how to deal with a bully. It is the greatest monologue ever in the history on how to deal with a bully, but also one of the most severe sadistic things.
Yes.
So you might need to pop that in over this video.
I'd like to. I'll find it just to watch it later.
Oh my gosh.
I was crying.
Yes.
I could not stop laughing.
Yes, it was.
It was insane.
Because it was exactly like what you would think from that guy.
Yeah. And you've probably thought about it, right? Like if you got bullied, you probably thought about what is the worst, craziest thing I could do to stop this from happening, right? Like,
and that's what he thinks.
And that is what he flushed out,
right?
Which is Ted Lasso is a great show.
Yeah, everyone should watch it. Mm-hmm. You will be better for doing that.
When you're done making your calls, turn on Ted Lasso.
When you're done
making
with
your
work,
calls,
and your responsibility. And you just need to rewind. No, unwind. You want to unwind. Yeah, watch Ted. Led Tasso.
Absolutely.
Led Tasso.
And I think going back to your social, like I think you were going with the, hey, we're all humans, right? But we're all different as far as social.
Oh yeah,
norms,
everybody
right?
has like different like social norms and cues. But you know what? I gotta say, and I fully believe this. If you learn some social cues that cause you to be a jerk, a loser, or maybe like maybe you think it's the social norm just to be a big old turd to everybody you meet, like I don't know, what's it gonna get you? It really isn't.
It's a 4 a.m. meeting according to some people.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Like I can't ever really.
Least likely time they can defend themselves. So according to the show Ted Lasso.
That's true.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I was telling her though. I was like, man, if people want to be stinkers, let them be. They probably got something going on that they don't know how to handle themselves, or they're just like bummed out because like,
or they don't
they're
have
lame
discipline.
And like, yeah, I mean, shoot, you know what? They're bummed out because they don't got discipline, and now they think that their life is like lame and sucks or whatever. But like, if they just believed in themselves and an idea, they could probably achieve like the greatest accomplishment of their life.
Right. If you learn the cues, you don't have to sing the blues.
That's right, man.
Bam.
There we go.
That's fair.
But how do you even believe in yourself?
Therapy.
You got to.
There you go. Seriously,
You got to like fail at something to even know what you're believing in.
You can be willing to fail.
You got to be willing to fail, and you got to try something.
Yeah, you got to be willing to suck. I got to say, so like I've been like like my music that I make at the house. I'd probably say like out of everything that I record, only like a fourth of it or a fifth of it, maybe even less, is like actually listenable music.
Yeah,
because it's like I might like
and that's
it.
not even the public. That's just yourself.
Yeah, that's just like what I hear. Whenever I like all the stuff like I record at the house, I'm always like, man, or at least I'm like critical of myself, and I'm sure like it would probably get a little bit better reception than I think. But the cool thing about at least like me trying, like maybe I try like a different maybe I try and like write a riff that is not like a riff I've wrote before. Maybe I suck at it.
Right.
Well, that tells me I can either like practice or I can like try and like innovate what I'm doing currently to a higher level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, there's not a lot of people, and it goes back into what you're saying, Ryan. Like we really do live in a world of instant gratification in the United States of America.
Well, I think everywhere. It's not just the U.S. Like it may not be to the point, but
Sure.
like we all have social media. We're like that is the world.
Well, yeah, when the
You know
whole
what I'm
world
saying?
is
Like,
definitely.
it's different, but
The
like
endless scroll.
Endless
that
scroll.
was where the shift changed to ruin everything.
But yeah,
it definitely changed a lot. Like I'm glad it was not around. Like I'm very happy that cell phones, social media, it wasn't around until I got out of college.
yeah.
I got to live in a time like when I was 8 years old. We were playing outside, and my mom had to drag us. We did not want to. We had no reason to come.
Right.
Well, why would you want to be inside?
Why do we want? But we got to meet people. We got to be around people. We communicated better. We got beat up, right? And listen, when you get beat up, you learn not to say stuff that's highly offensive versus sitting on a computer saying offensive things to people that you would never
Or typing them out,
say to anybody else, but like you've got this protection of anonymity. When I was younger, there was no anonymity, right? Like if I said something to somebody on telephone, they were going to tell the person, and okay, we're going to deal with this.
Yeah.
So like,
Don't walk alone behind the Kmart because you might find them.
But difficult conversations, like you're probably pretty good at difficult conversations, right? You've had a lot of difficult conversations.
A lot of them
this week. Oh boy,
this week. But if you're not good at having difficult conversations, you're going to struggle in business. You're going to struggle in relationships. You're going to struggle being a parent.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say one of the most effective things you can learn how to be in this life is a communicator, and like I definitely say that with a personal bias, because like I've always found that communication is easy for me and effective as well. But once you can learn how to communicate, it really it affects every facet of your life. I mean,
and you only got to learn a couple of important ways to communicate. Like using bracing techniques.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're like
asking people questions and listening more than talk.
I think that's the key. If we all, because this is something I work on all the time. Listen, like if we listen to each other, how different would things be? How many times we ask? I'll say for me, I'm guilty of this. I'll ask a question and I don't even listen to the answer.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the next thing you want to
Like
say.
I get to say something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how does that benefit? That doesn't benefit anybody but showing my ego that, hey, listen, I know that. Well, what if we did? What if we did listen? Like, what if in Washington people listened?
Holy
Oh my
cow.
gosh.
What if it,
Just
anywhere
imagine.
like
Well, sometimes
nobody wants to listen.
Sometimes the guys here in Athens are listening to one guy who's mad, and then they impose it on the rest of us. I'm like,
it's
wait a
fair.
second.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'd love to see a more empathetic world, because that definitely is like part of it. Like just the empathy or humility of being able to, I don't know. I mean, like you said, like listen and just communicate, because we don't have enough of it. I mean, that's why we have as many freaking problems all around the world as we do.
And they're blown up. I mean, I think there are some issues that people are just way off. Like there are some.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most probably aren't, but it's like you haven't talked about them for 5 years. So like trying to get down to that little bit is tough. Man. It's like being in it's like doing a deal, right? If I have a deal and there's something little that happened, right? There's going to be the fees are actually higher, $1,000, $50, whatever, right? But I don't say it, and every day I don't say it, I'm thinking about it. Well, I need to call the client. 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 And I don't ever do it, and I get to the closing table, the anxiety that you would have walking into that closing table being like, oh my gosh, $1,000 or $1,500, it was very justifiable. Now looks like I've just added a fee, and now I look bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
if you
It's
just
often
deal
done
with
under
the
the guise
small
of, oh, I don't
situation.
want to make somebody upset. I don't want somebody to feel bad, as opposed to, again, having that difficult conversation. Like,
Part of
It is
it
what it
you
is. Like,
gotta
you
use the
push it
bracing.
further and further and further.
Use the bracing and bring it out into the open, and then you get to deal with it.
I'll say, I had a boss at my phone sales job, and he always said, people can't really be mad at you if you set an expectation. And, like, that was, like, a very, very good rule of thumb, because I still use it now, like, whenever I'm working with clients, I mean, shoot, I tell everybody, you ain't going to find the perfect house. Every house, you're going to probably have some issue with it. Home ownership is something you're going to end up working on for years upon years upon years. Because, like, that's a very realistic expectation. I know some people probably don't want to hear it, but, if I tell them and, like, at the end, the answer that I gave them then is the same as it is now, what are they going to say to me?
And you may lose a deal over it, but like you're not going to lose sleep over it.
Oh no,
Right?
I don't do nothing to lose no sleep, because like that's yeah, man, I already sleep bad enough. If you like set, I don't know, setting expectations is like really big. I feel like it helps a lot, and that's like part of like having difficult conversations.
Right.
I don't know. There was so many times when I worked at the phone store, and I'd say, "Look, I understand that this promo says that you can get this phone for this price, but I hate to be that guy. Your credit gave you this down payment option. So, in fact, you are getting a little bit better of a deal, but you just have to come out with some money up front." And that's, it's nothing on my fault. But, I mean, like, now so it's your choice to either react or just act.
It's not going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Like you laid, I mean, it's just like a real estate transaction. I mean, when I think about being a lender, I tell my folks, here's what to expect. Here's what the first week looks like. Here's up to the appraisal. Here's this. Here's that. So that they're not 2 days in like, what is going on? Why have I not heard from Ryan? What is he doing? No, here's what it is. Boom, boom, boom. And then even if there is something that comes up, which usually does. I mean, there's very few no-issue deals. It's just part of that's just part of it, right?
But,
like they know, oh, yeah, that makes sense for this, for that. Okay. Like that 15-minute early conversation sets them at ease. It sets me at ease because now we've got the expectation is correct. And it's the same for you guys. I mean, you show somebody a problem. Here's what it looks like. Here's what we're doing. Here, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the best realtors I know do that. They set clear expectations with people.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all communication.
Yeah.
We should start communicating more.
Right.
Call up your friend. Tell him you love him.
Oh yeah.
Pat your buddy on the back if he did something good.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
at our parents' ages, like, all of our friends' parents or our own parents are dying.
Yeah.
Just left and right.
Yeah.
or our contractor. Give it up to Henry
There we go.
and Roger Keeney, past client. Anyway.
So that being said, as far as communication go, any closing thoughts you want to communicate to the audience?
Yeah.
We'll wrap this one up.
I mean, I would say in regards to real estate, I think you're going to see ups and downs. You're going to see rates move down. A lot of people think we're in a recession. I tend to think we're in a recession as well. In recessions, rates come down. I think we've got a lot of geopolitical issues that are on the horizon. It can cause issues. But also realize that the supply of properties is not going to just double next week. It just doesn't work that way.
According to the, it went 50% up according to Georgia MLS.
How are the statistics?
From
right?
from 2 to 3, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's now 24,000 listings.
There you go.
All over Georgia.
There you go.
So in thinking about that, if you wait till rates come down and you need to move, like there's a real need to move, I think it is good to start looking because it's better to put an offer in on a property now rather than wait 3 months. Let's say rates are down a full point. Well, now you may be going against 5 people, right? So now you may be paying $15,000 more because you've got multiple bid situations. You're going to get less from the seller. This is a push-pull. Not everything is really simple when it comes to that. So just make sure you're talking to your lenders. You're talking to your realtors. Make sure your realtors are talking to the lenders that you're working with because that's what we do. I have to talk to Ethan on deals, right? I have to talk to these two on deals. Like, if we don't talk, then there's going to be a ball dropped somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is an industry where it is competitive, but we all support each other, which is really I love about the real estate industry. So just leverage the people that you're working with.
Sounds good.
That's
Any
right.
closing thoughts?
And take some action.
Take action.
Take some action. If you're watching this video and it's the summer of 23, you're probably in a boat where there's a whole lot of buyers also looking at very few houses. But if you're watching this video and it's still April or May, if Rob got the video out,
It will be up. I'm gonna take
and you want
action
to,
on that.
and you're thinking about looking at houses right away, call
What's
Mr.
up?
Liebowitz, Prime Lending. What's your number?
So you can go to noexcusemortgages.com. That's kind of my website. It's got my phone number on there.
Say that again.
It's No Excuse Mortgages, NOEXCUSEMORTGAGES.com. You can go on there. It's got all my information. You can also follow me at Ryan Liebowitz Home Loans on Instagram and give me a call. I mean, I love talking about this stuff.
And then let's go look at houses.
Yeah.
Because if you wait till the summer, it will be busier because lots of other people are waiting till the summer.
That sounds like a bummer to me.
Summer of a summer.
Don't wait till the summer. It's going to be a bummer. Or you could just go move way out in the country and you'll be fine.
Cool. Sounds like a plan. Well, thanks again for everybody being on
Absolutely.
the show, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Next time.
Bye.